With AI so easily accessible for everyone, it's inevitable that prospective buyers will make use of this technological advancement to carry out their due diligence. There is no problem with doing that at all. When hunting for a detached property with a buyer, ChatGPT and Gemini are great for cutting the research time into a fraction of what it used to take during those pre-AI days. Instead of going to city and regional websites to find the information you're looking for, you punch in the right prompt and AI can spit out the info that you're looking for in as little as a few seconds. When you're looking to purchase a condo and you've got 300 plus pages of strata documents to read through, run the docs through AI and you'll get a summary in as little as 20 to 30 seconds. It used to take me 2 to 3 hours to read through all of the documents. Now I use AI to make a bullet form summary as a quick reference for when I actually review all the documents with my own eyes. I use it to summarize, but not to take over analytical thinking. AI only answers what you ask. Many inexperienced buyers will have no clue as to what to actually look out for when going through the strata docs. And if you don't know what you're looking out for, how would you know what questions to ask and how to give Gemini the right prompts? If you don't ask AI about nuanced meanings and implications resulting from council-made decisions or past votes, it would just give you very black and white answers. Even just the very act of uploading only part of the documents instead of all of them could take strata matters out of context. Here's an example. I have a buyer looking to purchase a strata property, but isn't familiar with all the reports and what they mean for owners. She uploaded the reports to Gemini and asked it to be a critic on the building's physical condition and what it could mean financially for the new owner down the road. These reports were the envelope report, electrical planning report, and depreciation report. Gemini, in a very critical tone, said that the strata is severely underfunded because the contingency reserve fund is not at $960,000 as recommended in the 2023 depreciation report. The reserve fund had $156,000. Here's a background for the building. It is a 22-year-old building with a total of 27 units. A very rough calculation without using unit entitlement in the calculation means that each home has about $5,800 in savings. According to unofficial industry consensus, I think agents would agree that a strata home with around $3,000 in savings has a decent amount. Around $5,000 is quite good. Around $7,000 is quite wealthy. To trained eyes, this home my buyer was looking at was in a good financial position. I would be hard-pressed to find a boutique condo building of any age in Greater Vancouver to have $1 million in its reserve fund by year 22. I remember a few years back when I saw a 12-year-old mid-rise building in the Olympic Village with a total of 254 units having saved up $1.2 million. I was thoroughly impressed. With ongoing repairs, maintenance fees, monthly and yearly, as well as service contracts to pay for, large amounts of money will always flow out of a strata reserve fund. For 27 owners to save up $1 million cash in 22 years is quite a feat. They would have to experience decades of elevated monthly strata fees and frequent special levies to pump up that contingency fund. To my point, Gemini basically deemed buying into this building a giant financial risk for my buyer. While I don't entirely disagree, that not having enough money to pay for capital projects is worrisome. We also have to determine the severity of the damages, the level of urgency to repair them, and how they would be repaired. I'm going to touch on why context is important when asking Gemini to review and critique a condo building. Let's talk about the engineering report my client uploaded. In the actual report, there was a mention of cracks in the concrete finish of the multi-layer bitumen roof. The photo included was of cracks in the top concrete coating that is meant to protect the actual bitumen membrane layer. The report indicates that there have never been any leaks reported. Gemini took that information and basically interpreted it like this. Oh, the roof is cracking. It is very costly to replace a roof. Walk away from this building. In bold capital letters. Gemini failed to mention anything about localized repairs. Even if there was a leak in the actual membrane, a patch repair could potentially be one of the solutions. Next thing Gemini reviewed was the depreciation report. The depreciation report is a study of the condition of a building's major mechanical and structural components, and includes estimates of what it may cost the strata to replace each component at the end of its industry standardized useful life. In other words, this report is a guiding tool for strata corporations to save up funds for inevitable upcoming expenditures. Prior to July 1st, 2024, condo owners were able to defer getting this depreciation report done. I can tell you, majority of condo buildings did not have one. Owners went on their daily lives and paid special levies when needed or increased strata fees when required. Prospective buyers didn't think there were any problems when a depreciation report for a building wasn't available. It seriously wasn't a big deal. Now, exactly 2 years later, a building not having a depreciation report is a red flag for a buyer. Buyers want to know how capital projects will be funded. No buyer wants to find out that they have to chip in $20,000 only after they've purchased the property. So that's an overview of what a depreciation report is. Let's circle back to my point when Gemini brought up the amount of contingency fund in the building and how severely underfunded it was. I explained to my client that literally every single stratified complex or building in Metro Vancouver would have this problem. I doubt any strata corporation would have millions of dollars sitting in the contingency fund at any given time, ready to be used whenever something major needed a replacement. Ultimately, I think prospective buyers have to understand that living in a strata is collective living. Every problem is everyone's problem. The only way to mitigate the risk of having to pay any special levies is to buy new or newer homes and then sell before the building shows signs of age. Even this is not a foolproof strategy because new buildings can still have things break down. It all depends on the quality of the component and how well it was installed. Fees and special levies are a fact of life when choosing to live in a condo building. One more thing Gemini flagged about this subject building my client was looking at is that it claimed that the upfront strata fees are relatively low, but then during more peaceful times, a term that this building's council uses to refer to periods when there aren't many large unexpected expenditures, owners would pay special levies to pump up the contingency fund. To AI, this came across as troubling or scheming. It warned my client to look beyond what the stated strata fees are. I admit that that's good advice, but the way AI framed it made this building's chosen funding strategy sound like it's part of a hidden agenda. So my client asked me to verify all this information that they got from AI, and of course I was glad to. After having reviewed the docs, I personally deemed this boutique condo to be very well maintained and a great building to invest into, despite the fact that there could be some upcoming projects on the horizon, like in 5 years. Special levies are unavoidable. Question is, how much are you willing to pay? You could always negotiate the price down to account for these potential special levies. Anyway, I digress from my main point, which is to be extra careful when using AI to help review strata documents. Know what each piece of strata document is and structure your prompt for exactly the results you want, instead of uploading the docs onto Gemini or ChatGPT and then giving a super general prompt and letting the chips fall where they may. I personally do not trust Gemini to do the work for me. It's on some occasions made mistakes when my client used it, and I had to point out the mistakes.